Hi, everybody. And I just want to say thank you so much for the amazing introduction. And I also just want to thank Danielle and the Women That Scale event today for allowing me to come in and be able to speak to you. My name is Shanta Thomas. I am a tax strategist. And you might be like, what is a tax strategist? The tax strategist is basically someone who specializes in taxation. I specifically specialize in tax planning strategy, which is basically to help businesses and individuals, high net worth individuals, be able to reduce their taxes legally, saving multi six figures a year in taxes. So that is what I do. I'm super excited to be able to be here today. And I'm going to be talking to you about using 5 simple steps to either generate income or save money. But as a true tax strategist, I am going to be talking to you about how to save money using your taxes or through accounting and tax ideas. So we are going to jump right into my presentation. So let's get started. So the thing we're going to be talking about today is 5 simple steps to generate and save more money in your business. So your business can and will be great, but it all really starts with you. So you have to know what it is that you want to bring to your business, what you need to do in your business, how to make your business great and amazing, and how to be able to not only generate income, but it's not the money that you make, but how much of that money are you keeping, right? We don't want to make $1 million a year, but then also spend that same $1 million a year. So let's talk about how we can also be able to save that money so that it can best benefit us in our business. So let's dive right in. Again, my name is Shanta Thomas. I'm an EA, also known as an enrolled agent. An enrolled agent is basically someone who takes a series of exams with the Internal Revenue Service, through the Internal Revenue Service. And with that, you get a designation. That designation is called an enrolled agent. And really what it is someone who's a tax specialist, someone who specializes in taxation. That would be me. So I am an enrolled agent. And I've been in this industry for 16 years, believe it or not, 16 years. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background and how I got started. So when I first got started, I was working for a Fortune 100 company. And during that time, I had the opportunity to do something amazing. Very few people in life have the opportunities to do this sort of thing that I'm going to talk about in just a second. But I did. So one of the things I did was I purchased a private jet for that company. I also had the opportunity to purchase car fleets in other countries. So one of the countries that I purchased a car fleet in was Brazil. It was about a $2.2 million project that I oversaw for the company to purchase these cars. Now we were purchasing these cars for our employees who were out of Brazil. And so it was a really cool experience. I was known as the North American leasing lead, which is basically someone who's in charge of leasing for North America. But I also purchased things in other countries as well. Now, these were not the cars that I purchased, and this was not the private jet that I purchased, but it was a really cool experience where I had the opportunity to purchase these things on behalf of a company. So talking about managing your money, that's where my experience in this industry started. I did not only taxation, worked in the tax department, where I had the opportunity to do international taxes, state taxes, county taxes, federal taxes, you name it, I did it. I was doing all sorts of taxes in that department, and I got to see what it looks like to be audited from the IRS, because companies of that size are audited 365 days a year, every single year, all year. And so I got a chance to see what that audit looks like from the business's perspective. So I know a lot about taxation. I also, during that time, had the opportunity to oversee purchasing vehicles. Purchasing real estate in other countries as well. So I was, as a North American leasing lead, I purchased properties for us in other countries. A lot of them were in Europe, but the purpose was to be able to use them for either office space or whatever, manufacturing, whatever it is that we needed, we would need to purchase these vehicles. It was a $210 million project. And I got to work with all of the departments: accounting, tax, sourcing, legal, controllership. I got to work directly with our VP and treasurer. And it was a really, really neat experience. So I learned a ton of things during that time about managing money, accounting, taxation, legal laws, right? You have to understand what the laws are in other countries, what you can and can't do. It's a really cool experience. But most importantly, I know what you guys really want to know is, what was it like to work with Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista? So I am her former CFO. I worked with her for just over 2 years. But in about the first 15 months of working with her, we took the company from 3 million to $10 million. So talking about learning how to manage your money and being able to not only use your money, but save your money in a way that works for your business. That's what we did. In order to be able to take that business to the next level, we really got good at understanding the financials, really breaking that down, figuring out where we can spend money, figuring out where money we might be bleeding, where we might be able to do some more investing, but basically learning how to manage the money in a way that was going to benefit the company. So we did that. It was an amazing experience. I loved working with her. And she's really the one that encouraged me to start my own company. Today, I am a wife and mother of 3 boys. That is my true passion. I also have my own business called Mothers in Tax. And in there, we teach basic tax planning as well as advanced tax planning strategy. So we have a mastermind where we teach advanced tax planning strategy as well. I work with a lot of college coaches, athletes, and things like that to help them be able to manage their money and drive down their tax liability so they can better use those savings in either their businesses or use those savings in their personal life that are going to better benefit them. So what does that mean? I want them to use that money so that they can build generational wealth, so they can invest and do other things, so they can create cash flow, right? Cash while we're sleeping. We want to be able to do those things through these sorts of investments. So take that money from the IRS that we would have sent in and now utilize that money to be able to do some of these other things that are going to better benefit them. I also, on the business side, help those companies be able to save money through their taxes. And now, instead of sending that money to the IRS, they can use those savings to do things like bring in more marketing, hiring a team, adding automation, leveraging their finances so that it can best benefit their business. That's a little bit about me. And now we're going to jump into the presentation. So before we jump in, I want to connect with you, not just today, but after today's presentation. So will you take out your phone? If you take out your phone and just take a picture of that code, it will take you to my link tree so then you can connect with me on multiple platforms. You can also learn about some of the programs that I offer. And if you're somebody who's needing services, if you're paying more than $25,000 a year in taxes, then you need some sort of tax planning in place. And it doesn't matter if you're paying that through wages or if you're paying it through a business or a combination of both. I can assist you. So connect with me. I'll be happy to do an analysis with you to show you how you can drive those taxes down and be able to use that money in a better way that, again, is going to benefit you and your business or you and your personal life. And if you make less than $25,000, or if you're paying in less than $25,000 a year, then I have some amazing referrals for you who will be able to assist you also with the saving money. But that's usually going to be for your business. So if you're paying in less than $25,000 a year, that's going to be for your business. So we can assist you with some tax planning for your business. So again, connect with me. Thank you so much for coming to listen to my presentation. But let's get started. All right, so today, again, we're going to cover 5 steps to generating income and saving money. So the steps that we're going to talk about today are determining what you love in an area and where you already are knowledgeable, monetizing that area, managing receipts, good bookkeeping, and good tax help. And you might be saying, what does this have to do with saving money and generating income? The first 2 are fairly simple in terms of generating income, but the last 3, saving money, I'm going to show you exactly how by doing those things, you can save a lot of money in your business. So let's dive in. Our first topic today is what? Generating income. Now I'm going to tell you let's consider generating income from a non-traditional perspective. So there are many ways that you can generate income. The way I'm going to encourage you to generate income is by looking at the areas in which you are already knowledgeable and finding out what you love about that area. Come again? What area are you already knowledgeable in? And how can you find an area, a specific area within that industry where you're knowledgeable that you already love? So, to give you an example, my background is accounting and tax. I told you that when we started, right? I've done accounting and tax for years. I've been in this industry for 16 years. However, when I got ready to start my own business, what I knew is that I did not want to do it in accounting and tax. Why? Because I just didn't love it. I didn't have a passion for accounting and taxation. There were parts of it that I liked, but I had never really had the opportunity to explore the areas that I loved. I didn't even realize there were some areas that I loved, but there were. So what I did was I went on a journey of starting with what I knew. I took the areas where I was already knowledgeable, which was basic bookkeeping and basic taxation, right? I dove into those areas and I already had enough knowledge to be able to work and make money in that industry. The reason why you want to start with the area that you're knowledgeable in is it is extremely difficult to take a new area that you're not knowledgeable in, is try to offer services in that area or teach in that area. It's very, very difficult to do that because you're learning. And as you're learning, you're trying to bring that skill set to others or bring that training or whatever to others. You want to make sure that you are doing it from an area that you're already knowledgeable in. So since I was already knowledgeable in accounting and taxation, I said, okay, how can I leverage this? What is something that I love? I found that I actually loved doing a few things. I especially love coaching, which is what I do now. Coaching and training and teaching others how to offer these higher value services. It's just something I'm really good at, right? But I didn't know that I was good at this when I started. So I had to figure this out. The other thing is I really enjoy tax planning. Now, tax planning allows you to build relationships with clients, right? It's not as transactional as something like tax prep. Tax prep is very transactional, right? You would come to me, you would bring me your tax prep, I'd review it, I'd make sure it's on a return properly, I'd give it back to you. It's very quick, it's very transactional. I enjoy building relationships. I enjoy talking. I enjoy analysis. And tax prep doesn't allow me to do that. The other thing about tax prep is when I do tax prep, because the amount that you make per tax prep is so much lower than something like tax planning, it doesn't allow me to spend the time that I want to spend with each client to really help them build out something that's going to be of value, that's going to allow them to really do more amazing things in their life or in their business, or have these amazing savings the way tax planning does. And so what I realized is that I really want to be able to do something that was going to allow me to do the analysis and take my time and all of those things, right? I wanted to do something else. That's how I got into the tax planning side. So once I started tax planning, I realized not only did I love it, but I could be very profitable at it, right? So I started in tax prep, but I learned that what I love is tax planning. I started in bookkeeping. I did CFO services, which I also really enjoy, right? But the thing about CFO services, it created a bottleneck. To be a great CFO, to be able to take a company from 3 million to 10 million in 15 months, you have to, one, be a good CFO, but you're taking a lot of time to invest in that company to be able to really understand them enough to help them be able to have those sorts of increases in their business. So in order to do that, I knew that I would not be able to replicate that across 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different companies as one person. So what I did instead was start doing coaching. And then I fell in love with coaching. My old boss, who is Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista, she was the one that really encouraged me to get out and to try coaching if that's what I thought I really loved. And I am just so indebted to her that she encouraged me to do that. Because if she had not encouraged me to do that, I don't know that I ever would have done coaching. I don't know that I ever would have tried to get out there and do it and open up my courses and do the training. But that is really what I love. That's my passion. So what I encourage you to do is to find the area. You may not love that particular area or industry that you have knowledge in, but something in that industry you will really enjoy or really love. And it's great to start your business there, because that's going to allow you to really dig deep into an area where you're already knowledgeable. So now you're knowledgeable in this area, right? And then you can easily communicate that knowledge to other individuals. Now, you might be saying, I don't have enough knowledge to share with others in a way for them to purchase. Yes, you do. No matter what you've done in terms of training, education, whatever it is, no matter what you've done, you have learned skills that others who are not in that industry don't know. Now, you might not know more than the next person. Even myself, I may not know more than another tax planner, right? Maybe they've been doing tax planning for 20 years. I don't know as much as them, but I know enough, way more than the average person. So me being able to sell them on the benefits of working with me is fairly simple, because they don't know what I know, right? Sometimes we undersell ourselves thinking, well, I don't know this, so therefore I can't offer that service. But that's not true. You may not know everything. You will never likely know everything about any industry. You should always be learning, but there are pieces that you know way more than the average person. And by putting something in place, whether a service or creating a product around a problem, whatever it is, you are going to be able to bring something to the forefront that you can monetize, that is going to allow you to really be able to help other individuals. So let's explore that a little bit. The things you want to consider, the first question, if you don't know where your knowledge will at, the first question you should ask yourself, well, what things do people often come to me for? What things do they come to you for? What questions do people ask you? One of the things that I knew was that people would always ask me questions about tax. And I would be like, oh, that's just, everybody knows that. That's not a big deal. The reality is everyone didn't know it, right? They would ask me questions, how do I pay myself? They would ask questions about, what is the difference between a tax deduction and a credit? They would ask questions about how is it that I'm paying more in taxes this year, even though my money stayed the same, or even though I made a little less, or even though I made more. Why do I have to pay more in taxes? They would ask questions like, how do I save on my taxes? I'm tired of spending this much money, paying this much into the IRS. So even though I didn't know all the answers, I knew some of the answers. And I could give them some valuable information that was going to help them to settle the questions that they had. So what questions are people coming to you and asking you all the time? That's an indicator of an area where you're very knowledgeable. And even though you don't see it or you don't know it, others know that you are knowledgeable in that particular area. So you want to lean into that area, and you want to be able to draw on your experience that you've had in your past as well. So maybe this is something that you have learned, right? I went to school for accounting. I went to school for taxation. I learned taxation when I was in school. I went to school. I also have my MBA in finance, right? So I understand things about managing money, running a business. I get those things because that's what I went to school for. But I had on the job training. And if you are like me and you know that you know that you know that you know, on the job experience is nothing like book knowledge. Okay. So you can read a book. I got a book. I thought I had one on my desk, but I don't. So you can read a book, and the book says, if you go to the hood, make sure you know how to carry yourself in the hood. Don't go down walking down them streets like you rich. You might not make it down the street, right? So the book may give you book knowledge, right? But what is the actual interpretation of that? Someone who's from the hood would say, listen, looking rich might just be your clothes are too well put together. And they don't know that you're from here. So even though you may say, let me watch out because I don't want to dress, I don't want to have, Louis Vuitton and stuff. You don't have to have Louis and all that stuff on. If you look too well put together and they don't know you, you still may have some problems walking through the hood. If you come rolling up in a Mercedes-Benz, a BMW, and nobody knows you, you may have some problems rolling through the hood, right? So there are certain things that people who know that they know, who've been through those experiences, understand differently in terms of experience than someone who's learned book knowledge. So you might say, hey, I've been doing hair since I was 10 years old. I braid, I do this, I do that, I do that. So you can take that. That is experience. You're going to know some things about hair that somebody like me, I don't know how to do hair. That's not my thing. So you're going to have knowledge in ways that I don't have knowledge, right? And you can utilize that information. You can utilize that knowledge in ways that somebody like me can't utilize it because we don't know, because we don't have that experience. And so what you want to do is, number two, think about areas where you've already been knowledgeable in. Think about areas where you have already had some, you could have worked in a grocery store. You could have worked in McDonald's at the checkout counter, right? So those things are giving you experience that you don't realize it's giving you experience. You are learning how to count money. You are learning how to give the right amount of change back. You are learning how to have good customer service, right? There are things that you are learning that may be soft skills or hard skills that you don't realize. So what areas do you also have experience in? Because that's also going to tell you, you have some knowledge that is above and beyond someone who's never done that before. The last area that I want to say is, where have you made money? And when I say make money, I mean, where have you made money either from in your own business or working for someone else? My background is I was a teller. I know what it's like to work in a bank. So I can give you information and knowledge and insight on banking. I can give you knowledge and insight on tax prep, because I spent that time doing tax prep. I can give you knowledge and insight on purchasing real estate, what that looks like, because I've done that, right? So I learned how to do those things. I made money on those jobs. And that kind of goes back to the experience. I made money on those jobs and gained experience. And so now I'm able to use that in another way. You may also just be doing some things like, hey, I do this, I do a little bit of this, and I make some money on the side doing this, but maybe you haven't made a full-fledged business out of it. Again, you're making money, you're building experience, you have knowledge. So you want to lean into that and say, first of all, why are you doing it? Because a lot of times we're in an area where you're making money in that area because you enjoy it. So I know, excuse me, when it came to taxation, I enjoy tax. So I started doing some taxation on the side, some tax prep on the side. Well, I did tax on the side because at the time I enjoyed doing taxes. And that's what I was doing in my corporate job. So where are you making money? Where do you have experience? What have people been coming to you and asking you about? Those are going to be the areas you are knowledgeable in. And you want to figure out in that area, what do you love about that area? And that's going to be different for every person. And it might even be an area where you don't even realize you love. You might not even realize that you have a love or passion in the area at all. but you do. So let me give you an example. My sister is a athlete. She's an amazing athlete. So in high school, she broke all these records. She did all of these amazing things, right? She goes on to college to run in college at Rutgers University. She's now in the Hall of Fame. An amazing athlete. She's smaller than I am. I'm 5'3", so she's probably about 5'2". And she's beating people who are 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, beating them in the 100-yard dash, the 200-yard dash, beating them in long jump. She is now in the Hall of Fame at Rutgers University. When she left Rutgers, she went on to have a professional career in long jump and other track events. Then she became a coach at Temple University. And just recently, she was saying, I want to be able to find something where I can be able to work and be able to work on the go. So I need to be able to work from my computer and do, and still be able to make money. And I was like, well, you should do fitness and health, because at Temple, she's a fitness teacher. And so she helps people with exercises and things like that as a teacher at Temple. And she was like, no, I can't do that. I don't have enough information or knowledge to be able to do that. And I'm just like, okay. But we always ask her questions about health and nutrition, because if you ever seen her body is amazing. She has these arms that are stacked. Her legs are amazing. And so I'm like, you have to know something about health and nutrition and just keeping your body in shape. I want to lose some weight. I'm going to come to you because your body looks amazing. My body don't look like that. So like, no, I don't want to do that. Well, guess what? She ended up taking like a survey online, which kind of asked her these same sorts of questions. And what she found was where she was very knowledgeable was health. And then that kind of gave her the courage to say, I'm going to look into this. And as she started doing it, she realized she liked it all the more. And she realized that she likes talking about the nutrition and health. And I'm like, yeah, you always talk to me about that stuff. So I'm not surprised. But for her, she didn't realize it. Right. So I told her, listen, you have to find, when it comes to health and nutrition, maybe there are certain things, maybe you don't want to just sit and lift weights or just do aerobics. But she used to be an amazing cheerleader. So maybe you want to show people how to do cheer moves and cheer exercises. But she's also a phenomenal coach. And so people will reach out to her and say, hey, can you help my son? Can you help my daughter? They're trying to jump further in track, or they're trying in the long jump, or they're trying to run faster in track. She has all this knowledge. And so she'll work with them. And then we start to see the incremental improvements, right? You are the same way. There may be pieces in whatever industry that you've been in that you don't love, but then there are other pieces that are going to be like, I really enjoy this. And so how do you take that concept and build a business around it, right? That's what we're talking about next. The next thing is you want to take that idea of, oh, I see where I'm knowledgeable at. Now I see in this particular industry where I'm knowledgeable, that over here, not only am I knowledgeable, but I also love this area. Now let's monetize it. How do we monetize that? How do we start making money around that, right? And that's going to look different for every person. And I'm going to tell you what I did in my own industry when I figured out what I loved, how I got to the place where I said, okay, now I know what I really enjoy, but how am I going to monetize that in a way that's going to make sense for myself and my family? So when I got into the accounting and tax space, I had gotten out of the accounting and tax industry for several years. So I went to focus on being a mom. And so during that time, I was doing a little bit here and there, little side jobs, but not much. And then I said, okay, I really want to, my youngest son had gone to school, and I said, I really want to start making money and bring in money for my family. And so I said, well, where can I bring in money? Like, okay, well, you're knowledgeable in accounting and tax space, even though you don't love it. Like, let's start there and find out what you do love in this space. So I did that. The thing I did, and that I encourage you to do, if you're trying to monetize, and I don't have this here, so please write this down. You need to hire either a coach or get the proper training. And you're like, I'm just trying to learn how to monetize. Yes. You know what coaches and trainers do? Their job is to shorten the path from where you are to where you want to go. They want to shorten that for you. So what does that mean? So they take their process really of what they've done, what they've successfully done, and they put that into some sort of training for you. And so it shortens what may have taken you 5 or 10 years to learn on your own. You can learn it and then implement it, and you're doing it in 6 months, a year. I'm a prime example of that. So when I got back in this industry, I had been out for a while. When I started 4 years ago, I took a course. The course was $6,000, so not cheap. But that course is the reason why I am where I am today. That course taught me how to price myself. It taught me how to lay a strong foundation for my business. It taught me how to change my mindset and recognize my value. I've been in this industry for 16 years. At that time, it was about 12 years. And I was still charging $150, $200 for a return. I charge, my pricing is way different from that now. But at the time, I didn't really see what I was bringing to the table. And I always get this question, when you're an accountant or you have a background in accounting, listen, they don't necessarily teach you how to start a business. They teach you the accounting and tax aspects of a business, of running a business, right? So I know that, but I don't know marketing. I don't know systems, automation. I don't know process. I know the systems that we use there, but a lot of those systems are too expensive. I can't use those systems as a newbie. Even now, after 4 years, I still don't use a lot of those systems, right? They cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to run for a company. I don't have this big company where I need to have that sort of system in place. It doesn't make sense for me. So I don't know those systems and processes. I don't know how to hire people. I don't know HR, right? So even though I understand the accounting and tax side of running a business, I don't know the other aspects. And so even though you might be really good in one area of your business, you don't know the other aspects. So how then do you take your business from where it is to where you want to go without getting that knowledge? Can you do YouTube? Yes. Can you do Google? Yes. But you're going to get bits and pieces here and there. And honestly, what I found was that confused me more than anything else. So now I'm stuck because this person said do this, and this person said do that, and this person said do this, and this person said do that. So now who do I follow? How do I know what to do? I didn't know. So for you, if you're trying to monetize, I would say find you a good coach or trainer, get under them and learn. Do the work and learn. It's the best time to learn because you're just getting into the industry. So as you get bigger and as you have more clients, it's going to be harder and harder to spend that amount of time learning. Do it now where your business is just starting. Start your business off on the right foot. That $6,000 I've made back over and over and over again. You have to use the coaching and the training. You should consider those things as investments. It's an investment. It's not an expense. Is it? Yeah, technically it's an expense, but you should look at it as an investment because it's allowing you to invest in yourself so that you grow faster than you ever could have grown if you were doing it by yourself. They're hands down. I grew faster by taking that course than anything. Within a year and a half, I was making consistent $30,000 a month. Consistent. It took me a year to figure out what I love doing. And once I figured out what I love doing, it took me about 3 months to really narrow it down. So I knew I loved the higher value services. I was looking at I was kind of torn between coaching and tax planning. I ended up going with tax planning. But once I narrowed down and said I'm going to do tax planning, within 3 months, I went from making $3,000 a month to $30,000 a month consistently. I narrowed down, I niched down. I became the go-to. I became the GOAT. The GOAT. You have to become the GOAT, the expert. People look at me as the expert. I always say, I'm not an expert. I don't know everything. I surround myself with people who are more knowledgeable than I am. I do the coaching. I do the training. Last year alone, I spent $25,000 in coaching. This year, I've already allocated $25,000 for coaching. I will likely do more. So you have to ask yourself, are you worth the investment? 100% you're worth the investment. So how do you then take this knowledge that you have and monetize it? Invest in yourself. If you don't, you will be years spinning your wheels, going in a circle, not moving forward. You will spend years frustrated, trying to get to the next level. What you're trying to do has already been done. Hear that again. What you're trying to do, I don't care what industry you're in, it's been done. It's been done before. So why, if it's been done before, reinvent the wheel? Someone's done it. Learn under them. Shorten the curve. So now you're not just taking money and saying, I've taken this money and done nothing with it. You've taken that money, invested in yourself, and now your business is growing in a way that it would not have grown had you not taken that training. You're going to, and I always get this, how do I know I'm going to get something out of the training? Listen, you can always get something out of it. Always. Always. There's always something you're going to get out of it. Okay? Always. Will you show up and do the work? Because 95% of the people who set out to take courses don't finish them. And I don't think it's because there's too much information. I think a lot of times it's just because we don't finish it. If you're not finishing it, you're not doing yourself any service. You're not doing yourself a good service by not doing the work. You got to show up and do the work, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's how you grow. That's how you grow. Okay. So now that you know what you're knowledgeable in, I encourage you to take a course or training. If you don't, you're going to be years. You're going to be a long time trying to figure this out when it's already been figured out. Mentors don't come like they used to. Today, you got to pay for mentors and coaching and training. All right. So that's that. The next thing you want to do is when you're trying to monetize, you want to be able to keep your expenses as low as possible. There are going to be a lot of things that you need starting out, right? You might say, well, I really would like to get a new computer, but do you have to? Think about your expenses in such a way where it's saying, will this expense right now, today, add to my bottom line? Will it give me more revenue right now, today? Right now, today? And if the answer is no, then wait on that. Because when you're starting out, or even if you're not starting out, if you're mid-sized, if you're trying to increase your revenues, if you're trying to grow, which most of us are growing, right, in our businesses, you want to make sure that you're making decisions on what do you need right now. So you have to prioritize the things that you need to get, and you need to really put those things in order, but then also say, if you're kind of not sure, should I do this or that? Which one is going to give you revenue right now? And the reason why that part is important, because it goes to the third point of pay as you go. So let's say you say, I do really need a new computer. So you say, okay, I need a new computer. I need to be able to purchase a new computer. Number one, you should be working off of a budget, but that budget should say, okay, I want to get a new computer. The computer that I really love is about $1,500. Every month I'm bringing in about $5,000. Okay, so I always have a percentage that I pay myself, which is usually about a third. I take about another third. I put it into savings, do not touch money. And then I put about another third into a bucket where I can pay for things each month. So it could be software, right? So something like Zoom, I will pay for Zoom every single month, right? Or it could be other systems you need. You know, I know a lot of people use things like QuickBooks and stuff. Whatever systems and processes you need, that becomes my other bucket. but that keeps my expenses from getting too high. So if you say I need a computer, okay, part of that money, either part of that expense bucket, if you say I'm going to get a computer and make monthly payments, all right, if you're making $5,000, a third of that is about a little bit between $1,500 and $1,600 a month. Okay, well, for me to get this computer, it's going to cost me $1,500. Cool. My other expenses that I spend each month come out to about $200. So I'm going to take $500 a month and take $500 out of that $1,500 to $1,600 bucket and put it on my computer. So after 3 months, it'll be paid off. So pay for things as you go. You don't have to like put all the money down. You want to keep your cash flows liquid. You want to have liquid cash flow, which means you want to have cash flows you can grab quick, right? You need money you can get quick because you don't know what's going to come up. Being an entrepreneur from day to day, you don't know what's going to come up. My husband started a trucking company recently, and that trucking company, he started having some issues with the truck itself. Well, we had already expected when you have a truck, especially if it's a used truck, it's not brand new, there's going to be maintenance and things that you need to put money aside for. We had already budgeted and allocated for that. Not only for the business, but we had also done it in personal in case it had exceeded what we made in the business. And we had to utilize that. So I'm telling you, just make sure as you go, you put money aside so you can handle those things. And then here, I feel like someone's asking this question. Maybe you're teleporting it to me, but here's the thing. Credit. Everyone wants to get business credit. One of the things I tell people, if you are a new business and you don't know yet how well your business is going to do not go get business credit, especially if you're not good at managing money. Because if you get that business credit, and then what's guaranteed is every single month you're going to have to make a payment. But if you don't manage your money well and you don't have the money to make that payment every month, you're going to be in a heap of trouble. A heap of trouble. So, okay. So now that you understand how to monetize what it is that you're doing, that you're knowledgeable in and that you love, next thing I want to talk about is how to save money. Now, I'm going to come from some non-traditional ways that you're going to save money in your business. And the first one I'm going to talk about is receipts. Receipts. Do you remember what you purchased last year on March 11th of 2021? I don't know where I was at. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what day of the week that was, right? No, none of us can remember what we did a year ago. So receipts help us to be able to do that. So let me give you an example. If when you were doing your taxes, right now, whatever money that you're making or you have expenses for, you're not going to do the return for that until next year. So it's going to be really hard for you to remember. The earliest probably going to be is like February 1st of next year. It's going to be hard to remember what you did today for next year. One of the areas where people lose so much money is when it comes to actual receipts. What they do is they don't actually put the money aside for receipts. They don't actually put the receipts aside. And so then when it comes to write these off in terms of expenses, they don't remember what they purchased. So when they sit down with their professional, like, yeah, these are the receipts I have, but there are a ton that are missing. No receipt, we can't write it off. If we write it off without the receipt, then later, if you ever get audited, excuse me, later, if you ever get audited, you're not going to have the information to substantiate it. So what does that mean? That means the IRS is going to disallow it. And the penalties and things that could come from a disallowance are huge. So you want to make sure that you have all of your paperwork from the beginning. Every time you get a receipt, simple. The simplest way to do this is every time you get a receipt, either use a receipt tracking software. I know Receipt Bank used to be one. I think they've now merged with QuickBooks, but use some sort of software that allows you to do it, or just pull out your phone every time you get a receipt, take a picture of it, and then upload it into G Suites. That's what I do. I have a G Suites folder every year that has my receipts. It's called my receipts folder. And then within it, I have it broken down by year. So I have a 2022, a 2021, 2020, each year. And then in my 2022, I have like my travel folder. And then within my travel folder, I travel to this. I've already gone to Atlanta this year. I'm getting ready to go to Mexico. I'll be going to Atlantis in the Bahamas in July. I'll be doing another work trip in June. So those are already 4 trips. So I have a separate folder for each trip. Now it's easy to track what I did and when I did it. And so that's what I encourage you to do. Get a G Suites folder, make it simple, have that G Suites folder where you can put your receipts in every single time that you have a new every single time you have a new have a new receipt come in, take a picture of it right away and save it. That's going to save you thousands every year just by managing your receipts. People often overlook this one, but you got to manage your receipts. If you're not managing your receipts, you are throwing money out of the window. And here's an example. Let's say you made $100,000 this year and you have $50,000 in receipts, but let's say you didn't keep track of the receipts. All right. So let's say at $100,000, you're in the 20% tax bracket. So at $100,000, 20%, $20,000 you now owe. But let's say you did keep all of your receipts, right? So instead of owing 100,000, you now owe 50,000. 100 minus 50 is 50 that's left. And let's say the 50,000 is in the 10% tax bracket, right? So now that 50,000 is now 10% tax bracket. So now you owe 5,000. You see the difference? Now I'm making up the tax brackets, but do you see the difference? That's literally how receipts work. So the better you manage your receipts, the better you're going to be. And no, a bank statement is not a receipt, or a credit card statement, that's not a receipt. The IRS does not look at those as receipts. A receipt is a receipt. So you want to keep your receipts, manage them the best way you can. You can manage them in your email. Just come up with a system and then do the same thing every time. But make sure you manage your receipts. That's going to save you a lot of money. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have good bookkeeping. Now, if bookkeeping should be the very first thing you hire is a good bookkeeper, okay? If you're starting out and you're saying, I don't have the money to hire a bookkeeper, then I would recommend, like, this is for a very simple business, not an e-commerce, not a business that does manufacturing or anything like that. This is a very, very simple business. Maybe you do consulting or something. If you just have not a business that has loans or business credit or anything like that, because those all have to be managed differently. But for a company who's just getting started, they're not making a lot of money. You maybe make $10,000 or $12,000 a year, and you just have some basic consulting or some type of service that you're doing. Money comes in, money goes out. That's it. Then I would say, cool, go ahead and show each month what your income was, what your expenses were. You can just do it really simply. Have different categories like your email, and maybe it's one category. Maybe you have another one for mailing items or postage. That might be another category. Another category for, just software like Zoom or something. Maybe that's another category. So just simple categories. But if you have anything complex, or if you don't know what you're doing, hire a bookkeeper. Everything relies on your bookkeeping, everything. And so that includes your taxes. That includes your business loans, your profit and loss. If your bookkeeping's wrong, all of those are wrong too. So bookkeeping is essential. You have to hire a really good bookkeeper, and you need to do that as soon as possible in your business. This is crucial. And the way it saves you money is when your books are messed up. Let's say you want to go and get a loan and your books are messed up and you have to hire someone to fix it. It will cost you thousands. I am telling you, you can expect at least $2,500, $3,000. If they're doing a whole year, I have had plans $10,000 for cleanup for a year, $15,000. And you might say, well, I'm not making that much. Mine wouldn't be that much. You are paying for the time it's going to take someone to do it, not how much you make. So bookkeeping is one of those things. It is the foundation of your business. Don't mess around with your bookkeeping, because you need to have accurate bookkeeping in order to really offer these. And really, in order to really be able to have a successful business, you need to have really, really good bookkeeping. That's going to be essential. Okay. So make sure your bookkeeping is stellar. Hire somebody as soon as you can. That's going to save you a lot of money. I'm telling you, bookkeeping is one of the areas where I see people bleed money. The other thing is, if you're not clear on what's going on with your books, how are you going to be able to make decisions to say, well, I should do this, or I should do that, or I should make adjustments? You can't, because you don't know what's going on in the books. So make sure you hire a good bookkeeper. The last thing I'm going to talk about is my love, right? Tax prep and planning. And the first thing I want to talk about is prep and planning are not the same thing. Tax prep is when you go to somebody like an H&R Block or even an individual who their responsibility is to take the information you give them and document that information on a return and make sure that it's correct. That's it. Their responsibility is not to help you save money. Their responsibility is not to help you save money, not to help you get ahead, move forward. That's not their responsibility, just to make sure it's correct. A tax planner helps you save money. That's what I do. So I help people who are making lots and lots of money be able to save or eliminate their taxes. And we do it legally. And in order to do that, you have to build credits or deductions. And so what they're doing is they're taking their money that they would have sent to the IRS, instead utilizing it to invest in things that create these deductions or credits for them. And now they have these deductions or credits. It's going to create some type of free cash flow. So some of it means that now they just have a portion of their income that is, they don't owe any taxes on it, and they can do whatever they want with. Now, some of it could mean that they now have credits that they receive so much money back each year and they pay themselves back, right? Whatever it is, there's different ways to set these up. But the key thing is that they're going to create this tax, what would have gone to the IRS's tax, and they're going to be able to utilize it in a different way that best benefits them. And so with these savings, as an individual, you can build generational wealth, build more retirement, you can travel, right? We want to make sure you're utilizing that money, though, to really grow and really be able to do the things that you want to do personally. And in a business, you can do things like marketing, you can do automation, you can do hiring a team, like you can build all of these things because now you have this other income that you can utilize. So that really is what tax planning is. And that's what I do. So in order for me to do planning, your prep, you have to be on a tax plan with me, right? But a really good tax preparer is not going to touch your books. It's not going to touch the tax prep or the planning, or planner won't touch the planning if you don't have good bookkeeping. So it goes back to the bookkeeping. If you don't have a good bookkeeper, if you're saying, I'll do my own bookkeeping, you know why? Because when something happens and you get audited or something, guess what? You're going to say, you're going to come looking at me. You're going to be blaming me. And I'm going to tell you, listen, this is why we have a good bookkeeper in place, because I am only going to be as good as the books. If the books are wrong, then everything I did was wrong. And when you're looking at saving hundreds of thousands, like I have a client this year who's going to save about $200,000 to $300,000 in taxes. That one client, when you have clients of that size, there's a likelihood that they might get audited. Audit is not a big deal when you have all the pieces in place, right? When you've done the right things. But when you haven't, it's a big, big deal. And so I make sure that if I'm going to be doing work with you, you got to have the bookkeeping correct. It's just a must. All right. So don't hire cheap for a tax preparer, and make sure that when you do hire a tax preparer, that you look where the signatures are, and your next to your name, it should not say self-prepare. It should not be done in TurboTax or one of those systems. That's known as a ghost preparer. Move away from them fast, because what you're signing is that you actually prepared the return. And if anything comes back, they're going to say, well, you did it, because their name's not on it. So don't hire cheap. You want to hire somebody who's knowledgeable, because a knowledgeable person will save you tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands over the years. Okay. And understand if it gets done wrong, somebody has to come back and fix it. Just like the bookkeeping scenario, it costs thousands. These usually start at $3,000 to fix. So don't mess around with your tax prep and tax planning. That's how you're going to save money in your business. Not only is it going to save you money from having to correct things that don't need to be corrected, but it's also going to save you money because it's going to allow you to be able to save money on your taxes in ways that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. So you need a really good tax planner and bookkeeper. Again, look at the tax planning as an investment, because what you're going to invest is going to be a fraction of what you'll save each year. So make sure you look at it as an investment. All right. So that's how you're going to save money. So today, again, we talk about how to generate income and how to save money. Looking at accounting and tax, really, how you save it through accounting and tax perspective. I want to thank you so much for taking out the time to come and listen to my presentation today. I would love to be able to stay in contact with you. You can find more about me at shantathomas.com. You can also reach out to our customer support at shantathomas.com. I just want to thank you again. And if you have not already, click on this or take your phone out and take a picture of this code. It will take you directly to my Linktree where I can connect with you on all platforms. Not only can I help you save money, if you're paying more than $25,000 in taxes, I can help you be able to reduce that. If you're paying less than $25,000 a year in taxes, then I can get you some good referrals. And last but not least, if you are interested in learning how to do advanced tax planning strategies and you already have a background in the accounting and tax space, then I am giving you a special discount offer today just by being a part of this event and listen to the Women That Scale to my Women That Scale presentation. So you will get $250 off your first month. It's $1,000 a month, and you will get $250 off. This is a special offer that is only being offered through the Women That Scale. And so make sure that you take advantage of the offer. Once the event closes, you will not be able to utilize that coupon code. So anyone who's been thinking about it, take advantage of it, do it today. All right, so again, I want to thank you so much. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you to Women That Scale. Thank you for my students who showed up and supported me today. Thank you for everyone who listened in, and I would love to connect with you. Please connect with me, and let's not only make money in our business, but let's be able to keep the money that we also make. You have an amazing day and enjoy the next presentation.